Space, the deepest, darkest, most fathomless expanse, eclipsed only by the astral sea in its fathomlessness. Adrift in this great sea of stars, we find the Mary Celeste, a gargantuan ship that regularly delivers large quantities of trade goods, precious cargo, and passengers to mercantile centers throughout the Fandargon Quadrant. A full mile in length, the Mary Celeste is a vast floating city whose 200-year-old decks are constantly abuzz with the many and varied activities of its eclectic inhabitants. Much of the cargo is entirely above board, but just as often, its labyrinthine network of holds are used to conceal goods of a far more sinister nature. Welcome to the first episode of Tabletop Dynasties' Starfinder General. In these games, we aim to come to grips with the world and system as presented in Paizo's Starfinder books. These games will be narrative-driven, and as such, we may bend or modify the rules to suit our playing style. We hope you enjoy Starfinder General!
So, slide. You find yourself, well, you were in the lower class passengers quarters because that's probably all that you and Grant could afford at the time, but you've been sidling your way up slower and slower to some of the casino rooms. You get some real high-end gambling happening and making sure you're closer to the action. Give me a physical description.
Wearing a white sort of Stetson hat similar to what I'm wearing here. A Western suit as well with a little, what's that thing called?
Mississippi string tie.
That one, Mississippi string tie. I am a small red lizard, similar to like a kobold. People are familiar with Pathfinder or other fantasy things. And if I can, I will be smoking some kind of Actonian cigar and some kind of boots.
Yeah, well, considering that they cater to a lot of different species and different atmospheric conditions, the quality of the atmosphere is not something they worry about so much in this area. So you get away with all the smoking you like.
Yeah, good. Yeah.
Awesome. And of course, to skip straight on to your offside here, we're going to go to Grunk.
So, Gronk, I'm a skin slave. I'm big purple burly guy. Yeah, you can always see me walking around just tapping on things with my fists, maybe looking for fights. Always in armor, always ready for a go.
And keeping a lookout always for your friend Slide, who sometimes gets you in trouble but often gets you out of trouble, and vice versa. A little bit of tag teaming going on.
Sometimes I ride him.
More often than I'd like.
Meanwhile, again, in the lower class section of the ship, you just caught some cheap cargo hold occupation, and you're actually on the trail of some intergalactic slavers. People who have been stealing android bodies and consciousness matrices from the pact worlds and shipping them out of the pact worlds to places where slavery is still encouraged. You've been following the trail of a man named Amon Hector. Amon runs a network of slavers that operate throughout the galaxy. It seems like they've been pushing into this quadrant more recently. Of course, it's not just androids that they trade in, but androids are highly sought after for their both for their durability, longevity, and skill sets. The organization in particular, the corporation that he's been stealing from in the core worlds, in the Pact worlds, is one called Legatron. And essentially, since the revolution, the Android revolution, they went from being a manufacturing facility to a self-dubbed birthing facility that just makes new consciousnesses. And while they pretend to be nice and above board, you think they're still doing some on-the-sly trading through Amon Hector and his network. You just want to get the dirt on it so you can bring it back to the council and prove that they need to go under. So you've decided to poke around the cargo holds, but also you know that Hector and other associates of his are probably hanging out at the higher-end gambling rooms or other pleasure facilities that are available on this ship. There is no restriction as to where you can go on this ship so long as you have the money. Even if you're staying in the lower quarters, in the poorer areas, as long as you can show the cash, you're welcome to travel up to the pleasure centers. Snowball. Recently finding yourself in the cargo bay, you're just fusking around, chasing a small bit of floof that sort of like stumbled out of the corridor and is...
Sounds like me.
Yeah, you stumble through these large sort of metallic corridors. Trolleys and various worker robots are just like moving around, paying little attention. Generally, their programming ignores people like you. They will pay attention to larger entities, but you know, Skittermanders, most people just overlook those cute little buggers. Sometimes to their own detriment. But as you're wandering through, you catch a glimpse of a light shining out of a large container in the lower end of the docks, the undership. And that's currently distracted you.
Yes, yeah.
And you're like, whoa, floof, shiny,
I'd like to go
floof,
to the shiny, please.
shiny, floof, shiny. And please, and as you are attracted to this light, you see a shadow being shone up and glittered on the ceiling of the chamber as a tall, slender shape emerges from a pile of rubbish, shaking their head and reacquainting yourself with the environment and what it is to have limbs. You sort of stand up, Joe, and you find yourself in this large container and you look around, bits and bobs, trash robots, junk radios, the rejects from your high-end electronic factory surround you. And you're like, wow, why am I in this trash pile? You sort of look around and then something's shining up from beneath you, and you realize that there's a photon light, just sort of radiant energy on very, very low energy. It's kind of must have been keeping you warm, otherwise you'd probably freeze down here. But you sort of look down and you're like, well, that shouldn't be in here. We keep the high-end power suits and ship them out specially to the clients without any interruption. Even a photon power supply like that really should be under lock and key. You're like, why is that there? It's sort of strange. So like, you look over inside to get your bearings, and you see... Describe yourself.
I'm a cute little 3 foot tall, 35 pound, 6-armed little fuzzy guy. I'm
a broad grin and little blinky eyes and a fuzzy face. What color are your eyes?
Blue.
And beneath the fur and poking out here and there from the fur, you see a selection of pouches and bits and pieces. Do you wear armor?
Yes.
Okay.
I have second skin, but I don't like pants. So
Okay,
I don't
cool. So it's basically like a utility vest with lots of pockets and pouches and bits and pieces, all kinds of interesting objects, just like ends of them sticking out here and there. Big eyes look up at you as sort of 3 of the arms are down here, and then one of them scratching the head, and the other 2 are just like going, whoa. As you look up, Snowball, and see Joe, who is?
Joe is an 8 foot tall Bethari who is like a slender man, like a humanoid but quite long, elongated, extra long limbs. Humanoid, human style of skin, but can change it, but creepy little mouse eyes.
And what are you wearing and how do you wear your hair?
My hair is just off to the side, shaved bit where you can see a little bit of a mechanical implant on the side, but otherwise overalls, like pretty basic overalls.
So you guys are now standing together in the cargo bay. You're unsure of where you are, and
I'd
you
like
don't
to
care
help.
where you are.
Yeah, he looks disheveled. I'd like to help, but I'd also like to steal that shiny photon light if he doesn't want it.
Well, you can only see. You're not sure of the source of the light. So
I'd like to steal the shiny.
okay, so
I
Snowball
don't know it.
clambers up, 6 arms, naturally made for climbing, clambers up the side of the container, looks up at you with big, bright, shiny eyes, and then looks down at the photon light and like starts digging around, throwing bits and pieces. One of the things it throws out is like this large box, some sort. It's like a little box in good condition. It seemed to be like right there, and you're like, oh, catch it, and you look at it, and the little LCD screen sort of pops up and goes, 1,000 credits. 1,000 credits. And you're like, oh, okay.
You're welcome. I help.
How handy.
Who's throwing away credits? This is amazing.
You dig away. You sort of aghast at this creature digging through the trash, but do you want to help?
I don't even know what it is at this point.
You-
I'm just confused.
You
really.
recognize a suit of Mark V, if you want to write this down. It was an experimental Mark V suit of power armor, which is entirely charged by photon, which means it's particularly light sensitive and it can just recharge anywhere, particularly good for long distance operations in deep space or any planet that has a thin enough atmosphere for light to filter through. It can operate without light, it's just got a limited battery time before it depletes. You're not sure what state it's in, but it's obviously still operating because its photon battery is glowing and the light shines up. But what condition it's in, you're uncertain. Do you want to help Deke?
I do want to help Dick because it hurts my eyes.
And you want to
So
turn it off?
I would like
and
to
get
turn
inside.
it off, and I'll sort out what it is after that. Because right now this hurts.
Well, dig through. Also, you're kind of wondering who put this here. Who was like negligent enough to throw this thing in the trash when it should have been, especially an experimental model like this, when it should be shipped off. So you dig it up, dig through all the bits and pieces, and eventually you realize that it's actually intact. You access the cockpit, you push like the lever, the front opens up, and you see an array of controls inside, which you can turn off the light if you like.
Indeed, I will.
The light goes down. But the inside looks really comfy. It's got super nice bespoke red leather interior. And a couple of like super nice fluffy control covers on it.
Oh, I want Jojo to have the suit because they're wearing dirty overalls and it
Have a
makes me
nickname.
sad and I want to help.
I have a nickname. Yes.
Jojo.
I just met you and you
Here's a
nicknamed
nicker.
me.
Jojo.
I'd like to help.
Okay. I mean, you can operate this thing on a rudimentary level. You wouldn't be able to do anything super fancy with it because you've never been trained as a pilot, but you're familiar with how it does operate. So being able to get it like from one place to another, not be too difficult. It doesn't look like it's got any kinds of weapons or anything like that loaded onto it. All of the fittings are on it for that kind of thing. The whole thing stands about 12 feet tall when it's fully out, but this is a huge bay. And there are 4 other dumpsters essentially like this one side by side in this area, and then across from that there's like cargo netting strapping down various land and agricultural vehicles. Stacks of boxes line the other walls, and again occasional worker bots just rolling through pushing large trolleys, or another variety which is just flatbed trolleys with worker bots built on top of them so that they can move things on and off. You do hear the sound of talking coming from one of the corridors though, further down. Meanwhile, would you prefer to be Jet? Would you prefer to be investigating the high-end locations we think Amon Hector might be? Or would you prefer to be scouting around the cargo area and trying to find some of the locations where they might be holding these bodies and intelligence matrices?
Yeah, I'll scout the lower areas.
Okay, so you've just slipped past a few guards and you're carefully avoiding sort of patrols that are rolling through the area. They're not serious patrols, it's more just like cargo workers, dock workers moving through, double checking, but still you don't want to be seen because you're not supposed to be in this area. As you move through, you're sort of following a particular robot at the moment. You're sort of like just ducking in behind it. Doesn't seem to have noticed you, but you start to hear some voices up ahead from down the end of the corridor.
I go inspect.
Right, so you just keep in pace behind the robot, and eventually you come up. It's like, Charlie, what are you doing? I told you. We can't have this over here when we got that over there. We gotta make space for the delivery of Valorian leaves that are coming in. Big bales. They make a mess. They're gonna be spilling out everywhere. Sometimes you get juice. You gotta get the plastic down first. You gotta get the plastic down, move those boxes out of the way, make sure this stuff's not gonna leak on them. Otherwise, you're gonna be in big trouble. He's like, I'm sorry, boss. I'm just, really trying to get my head around it. I just want to impress you. You'll impress me more if you just do your job right. That's exactly what you guys are hearing as well.
Can I roll a life science to see if I know what Valorian leaves are?
Of course.
8 plus 8, 16.
Valorian leaves, they are a type of leaf. They contain a lot of moisture. They're like kind of succulent, and they're just used to extract the liquid. The liquid can be put into concentrates to make other chemicals, typically pharmaceuticals, but most commonly the liquid is just rubbed into the skin in various places to induce euphoric and hallucinogenic effects.
Okay.
In a variety of species. Not all species, but definitely most humanoid species are susceptible.
Okay, I stay hidden and continue inspecting.
Alright, cool. You start poking around. You hide behind the robot, just like jump on the side. You sort of just coast around these guys who are a poor young worker who's being chastised. Charlie, you see he's a bent over young Vess. He's just like, his thorns sticking out. He's like, looks like a bit of a runt for his litter, to be honest. He's probably a little small in the size. And his sort of overseer is this towering humanoid type, probably very similar to Joe, actually. He's a Pathani. He's just like, telling him what to do with a little pair of glasses, like pointing over the side. You slide by them, and they eventually sort of walk off in the direction with another big power lifter to probably get some other bits and pieces and reorganize the storage facility you just passed. You dump off, and you start to see a series of containers on the far side of the room, and they all bear the Legaton logo stamped in heavy yellow font diagonally across these sort of blue steel containers. You decide to make your way over.
Yeah.
You sidle over, you are suddenly startled by a noise. It's like a whole bunch of trash just moves out of the way, and towering up from one of these trash containers is this large suit of power armor. Turns to look at you, these eyes, head set almost at chest height, these glowing yellow eyes beaming out directly at you.
I acrobatics out of there.
So you're in the suit.
General movement.
It's a general movement. It's like, sidling along. Folks, let's get to love to you.
And at the end of the maneuver,
So you guys stand up. As your acrobatics out of there, the corner of your eye you see sort of emerge over the top right-hand shoulder of this suit of power armor is a small, fluffy Skittermander. Big blinky eyes looking at you, and you see this sort of like dynamic android with glowing skin and runes kind of etched on various parts of their body. You just go boom, 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 and flip out of the way in an incredibly acrobatic style. And you're like, ooh, shiny.
That's the best acrobatic I've ever seen.
You hear sort of just trickle off the shoulder of this robot or power suit.
I stay hidden. I have terrible sense motive. These people are gonna kill me. I'm gonna stay out
So
of
you've
the
seen
way.
some movement, some figure out there, but you're like, just like step over the edge. You sort of step up and then put on the thrusters and just gently come down. arms sort of go rigidly to the side. You must keep it in pristine condition. This is like, as per the manual. If you kept it out in any kind of other position, it might get caught. You know.
I understand. Straight from the warehouse, man. You gotta look after these things.
Basic
I'll get
protocol.
in trouble.
The plastic is still on some parts of this thing.
Oh, the peelies.
Yeah, all of the screens and like the big sort of triangular photon energy display
This
center.
is expensive. I need to find its owner. Like, it can't. This must be in the wrong spot. Like, it must
Obviously in the wrong spot. So you've sort of just landed, and you sort of open the cockpit and step out again, because it's not in the trash anymore, and you want to look it over a bit better. So you see a rather mild-mannered, ordinarily dressed Vathani step out from inside of this cockpit, some strokes their hair. What color is your hair?
It's black.
Yes, just
This
pushes
is
their black
ordinary.
hair out of their head. Looking about young to middle-aged,
More like 25.
25, yeah.
Humish.
Just basically looks like a factory clerk. Definitely not dressed in the uniform of anyone else in this hole, looking screamingly out of place. And then the Skittermander sort of pops off the shoulder and sort of is looking in your general direction, possibly hoping to see you again.
I'd like to go hug the moving thing.
You see the Skittermander looking up. They have an idea of where you are.
I realized that Skittermanders are quite helpful folk, and the factory clerk seems pretty not scary, so I might go talk to them and see if they can help me inspect these boxes.
So give me a sense motive roll.
7.
Yeah, you are uncertain about these creatures.
Yeah.
Being an android, you can't really. You've
Yeah.
done flat effect. Which is
Yeah.
But yeah, you can make your assumptions.
Yeah, as I feel like as a life science thing, I would know that the race of Skittermanders are quite helpful.
They're very friendly,
Yeah.
even in the face of occupation.
Yeah.
They're just super helpful and are trying to look out for the people who are oppressing them.
Yeah. So yeah, I walk over and talk to these.
So emerging
folk.
from behind a hiding place, you see a shiny friend.
I
You
would like to
assume.
roll to hug her foot, please.
You don't need to roll. You just
I'll roll
over.
acrobatics. I want to do an acrobatic.
Just one?
Yeah,
One acrobatic.
yeah, she's not very far away. It only needs one.
The Skittermander rolls towards you. Do a sense
Acrobatic.
motive roll, please.
Okay. Oof. 1.
In a threatening fashion.
One aggressive cartwheel.
I run and hide from the Skittermander again.
Oh no.
I'm just gonna say you jump back and sort of like have your hands like on your weapon ready to draw.
Yeah.
Like you still have your sense of like Xenos like
Okay.
lore, so you know that they're not gonna. But maybe they'll just like open up with a ball of knives or something.
It's got 6 hands, can have 6 knives.
But if they're helpful, maybe they can help you.
Yeah. What do you want?
I wish I could like offer you a cupcake or something to show that I'm not threatening, but all I have is grenades. I don't think that would work.
I don't think I can use grenades right now. Thank you,
Because
though.
they're my grenades. Hi.
Hi.
What you doing?
Do you want to help me look through these crates?
I love helping. Oh my god, which crate do you want to look at?
Excellent. These ones that
Yeah.
say Legaton on them.
Are we stealing them?
No.
I'd like to help, please.
Okay, cool. So you're quite preoccupied just looking out, checking all of the tops and tails on this piece of power armor.
Slowly peeling the plastic
If only you
off
had
of
the
it,
correct-
that's
Oh,
sticking
oh,
it back
wait.
on
I
really
feel the
quickly.
plastic.
You pull out your little data slate that you have sort of
Yeah.
like tucked away. It's like still there in the little satchel that you had in your pouch, and you start doing the basic factory checks and double checking. Yep, this is in fact the experimental rod model. What mark did I say it was again?
5.
Mark 5. Valorian Mark 5. You weren't in charge of this particular model, but you knew that one of them was being shipped out for field testing pretty soon. So you're just doing all the rudimentary checks and putting it down. And this conversation is just going on in the background. Meanwhile, in the casino.
Come on.
You're in the middle of a high-stakes game of Velosto.
Oh, Daddy needs a new pair of boots.
But
Basically,
you have 5 pairs.
Well, I need more.
Velosto is a game of turtle combat. They got all these small, tiny turtles. They're synthesized turtles running on artificial intelligence, but they made them out of real flesh, just to make sure no turtles were hurt in the making of this Velosto. And they put them in this little arena, and it's like an aquatic arena, and they go up and down. You're like, you can get into this as well, because it's all good. Give me a sense motive.
Oh.
You've just dropped 500 credits on the big guy.
The big one. Of course, I always go for the big one. Alright. Has he got a little blue band around the top of his head?
Yeah. And around here and here and here and
Cool.
here. And he's like rolling around with a pair of swords.
Oh, cute little Leonardo. I put money on him too.
9.
Alright, cool. You don't trust anyone in this room right now. Just like general approach to life. Don't trust anyone. Probably hit them soon. Might hit later.
Creating a list of who to hit first.
But I'd like you to get a sense motive as well.
Cool. Alright. Wow. That is terrible. But I do get to add a d6 to it. For 12.
It's cool. So also at the table is a large Vesk man, a couple of other humans, and some races that you don't recognize. They're all just like blue skin. They've got sort of gills riding up the sides of their neck, and they're both wearing these gowns or robes, as it were, with sort of gold trimming around the edges and glowing lines just rolling down their shoulders. And they're like, seem to be a little bit upset that your big guy is doing so well right now.
Right.
But you don't really, you can't tell why or how, but it's just gambling. There's a dealer there, it's like the administrator of the game's like, all right, so if you want to put a little bit more credits in, you can pump the power of your turtle.
Yeah, I'm going to always pump the power of my turtle.
All right.
Alright, we're going to do this. Alright, going to be a warrior, not a warrior. And I'm going to put a little bit more extra in that gambling.
Well, give me a wisdom check.
Oh dear.
Same.
That is a natural and a modified 12. That is 12.
All right, awesome. All right, you're sort of starting to pump some power, but you've pumped it at the wrong time, and you go on the back foot, and then suddenly this guy's like, yes! It's like fins start flaring out. The Veski's like, keep your turtle away from mine! I don't like it. And the humans are like, oh, you can't tell us what to do. The dealer's like, calm down. Send to the next round. You can pump again if you like.
I'm going to pump again. Alright, boys, we're going to pump again. So I'll do the thing, I'll pump the... Is there like...
You've
sort of button
noticed
press?
there are certain interfaces. So you do the pump,
Yeah.
you sort of push the button to pump, but then the dealer or the game manager applies it.
Right.
And you're like, maybe there's a way to sort of like artificially go in or just sneak around and get an extra pump going in
So
there.
I'm sussing out how that all works, okay.
Yeah, you're figuring it out. But maybe if your friend Gronk knew what to do and could distract that dealer for a second, you guys have some like subdermal microphones. I'm going to say you guys already hooked up with communicators.
Yep.
But maybe if he could make a distraction, then you could like add some extra juice to your guy, and then you could win.
Alright, cool. So I'm going to do my little... I guess Gronk, my business partner, he can hear everything I'm saying all the time. So I'm going to do like that thieves' cant kind of style thing where I just start talking about a story about this one time, how my company, Prime Megatech Corponet, once had this like slogan which just said, get it, and it did do really well for us. And he knows that I would like to think that, hopefully. If he picks up on it, it might be, I don't know.
Yeah, no, you guys have been traveling. You've been running cons for a long time.
Yeah, cool.
You've got your language down. Between the two of you, that's cool. You can do that. And the Veski's looking at you confused, going, "What the hell? I don't give a shit about your crappy corporate job, wage slave."
Now I pick up the keywords in the story.
Yep.
Mainly get it.
Distract the dealer.
And I come up to the Vesk and just go, "It's a good story!" And just like give him, not quite a punch, but definitely enough to get
Love
everyone
tap,
drawing
baby, love
attention
tap.
towards the Vesk-a-me. It's like, listen to him, douche.
All right. So yeah, you just come over. Give me an attack roll. I mean, it's not real attack, but
2 plus 5.
he like swing over. He like sees it coming a mile. He's like, "Hey, what are you doing?" And then as it goes to swing back, you probably the best result to be honest, because you don't really hit him, but he's like coming. He's just coming at you. Natural 1. You like see it coming. You like stick out your leg, and he's like, "Whoa!" Falls flat on his face across the table. All the turtles start rattling. The dealer's like, "Whoa, whoa!" and then sort of gives a signal, and you see like some of the big robot guards starting to actually sort of move in the direction.
Right.
But distraction, yeah, that was a good one.
Done. All right, good. So, do I now have like an easy way to go check out maybe what his controls were?
Yeah. He's like super distracted. He was like, "Whoa," and trying to stabilize the table, and then he's kind of come up and looked completely
In the
over
opposite direction.
to the other side, and you could have like glance over, and you've got. You say, "Yeah, it's super easy. It's basically just got a different color for each turtle on the
Okay,
thing,
cool.
and it's like pump or diminish."
All right. Well, I'm going to go for Leonardo. I mean the red one. I mean the blue one. There's a brief moment of confusion, but I'm going to go for my one and pump it as much as I can.
All right.
Yeah. And then bail on that on the situation and kind of be back and pop back in the situation. Yeah.
All right, cool. So the Vesk even he sort of picks himself up and looks around and sees security coming. He's like, "Ugh, back away, chump! Don't start a fight you cannot finish."
I just kind of...
Like,
And then pick up a drink and sit back down.
All right, cool. He feels like he's asserted his authority and turns back to the game. "Time to win! Come on, Raphael! You've got it in the bag for me!" And
Wow, who's that guy?
goes
Where'd he come
in,
from?
and then suddenly your little turtle goes super spinny and turns into a whirlwind dervish of
Yes.
sword destruction and spins
Quarter
around.
circle forward.
Cuts the other ones into like little bits and pieces. The human's like, what? I had like quadruple or nothing on that. And like the other guys are just like, The two like fish-looking people sort of turn and look at each other and give a little nod. Reluctantly put their coin pouch or their credit pouches on the table.
All right. Cool.
Or they're all slotted, so you've got your little credit sticks
Yeah.
slotted in, or it's up to you whether or not you carry your credits on like a big device like the one that you found, big blocky thing, or just a little stick, or often on a string around your chain. You can either plug it in via a wire or put it directly into a machine.
I like to keep lots of little cred sticks just in case somebody goes somewhere else and I've always got one on me. I like to float them around a bunch. Yeah.
But you can like feel the vibration of credits like racking up and getting heavier.
This one's just getting heavier in my pocket. All right, I like it. I still like I think it's still tradition to kind of do the, right boys, good work, yeah, and kind of rake in nothing with my hands.
He's like, "What? That's impossible!
Stand up.
How could that happen?" The dealer's like, yeah, I lucky, I guess. He starts looking around at all the little body parts of the turtles floating around in the aquatic chamber, and your little blue guy's going,
Victory music.
Our little turtle runs out wearing a skirt and goes,
Brings him a pizza.
brings him a pizza.
Look at the special pizza victory pose. Awesome.
Because there's an extra dynamic to this game where it's not just your money you lose. If you win extra big, you also get money out of the machine. That's why it's kind of a fun game. It's
Right.
the option. But you just like hit some kind of weird quirk. Even you recognize that you've gone beyond the scope of the game,
All right, okay.
Somehow.
I've overextended myself.
and it's drawn more credits from these guys' sticks. You sort of see them like looking down. They're going, "What?" And one of the fish people is sort of like, because the security guards, they're still coming over after this incident. And he sort of like gestures to the guard.
Right. So I'm going to start to sort of back away, and I'm going to say something along the lines of like, I'm going to go shift some paradigms, revolutionize outside the box, and I'll, which my business partner here knows to bail. So hopefully he's leaving, and I'm going to do my best to try and just go, yeah, I'm going to go get a drink. Thanks for this. This has been great. I'll catch you next week, maybe.
It's like, wait, this isn't over! Ah! Sort of sees the security guards. He's like, oh. sort of settles down. The two fish people kind of talk to each other and then silently leave the vicinity as you two sort of bundle up and make tracks out of here.
Right. Okay.
Snarl at a few of the security guards.
Yeah, you guys are making your way down the corridors, and then suddenly
I'm counting on my credits.
you're aware, counting your credits, and you become aware pretty quickly that there are some people following you. It looks like these fish people, and they have some other associated people who are just humanoid shape, wearing pretty slick black armor. Not carrying any obvious weapons, because that's not allowed in this part of the ship. But that doesn't mean they're not armed. Could be they have some implants or something else. But they're definitely stalking you at this point.
Boss.
Grunk, I told you. It's fine. It's okay. What is it? I told you
Boss.
shouldn't have eaten that. What?
It was good, but no, bigger problems.
I turn around and look down the corridor.
Oh yeah, you noticed them. Give me a sense motive.
Oh, right. 22.
Oh, awesome. Yeah, they seem like they have some questions.
Okay.
It's a very serious question to ask you about your
How
heavy
many-
cred sticks.
How many are there?
4. So the two fish people and their two friends.
And do I know what type? I don't know what type of race they are. May I try and discern what type
Yep.
they are? Because they all seem to be in the same garb. Is that right? They got this.
Yeah. Well, these two do, and like the outfits, the armor seems a similar style.
All right. Okay. Well, I'm going to use a culture check to check to see what their armor's all about. If I
Yep.
can figure out where they're from and why they're wearing that, which is a 14. It's a 20 altogether.
Yeah, so it seems like they're from a planet called Aloria. It's common to this neck of the galaxy, to this quadrant. It's an aquatic planet. And while they like to gamble, they have a very ruthless society.
Okay.
Basically, when they give birth, like you get to an age and they all just shoot their eggs into a single huge pool, and they all get, and they also just shoot their fertilization fluids all into the same pool.
Okay.
And then they have this birthing period, and then whoever survives that and crawls out of the birthing pit becomes a recognized citizen of their society.
The guys I'm looking at.
Well, that's the two fish people. You're
Yeah.
not sure of the people in the
Oh,
armor,
I
but
was
the
like-
armor is of the
oh.
same style.
Right.
So you think they might also be Elorians,
So there's two fishy, and then there's two other in full plate armor. Okay, cool.
which might be Elorians as well. But yeah, they come from a very, very brutal society of just survival of the fittest.
Heck.
And also that calibrates to a whole sort of imperial system of infighting and throat
think-
cutting.
I think being very aware of like my own race get very aggressive and have an intent, like very aggressive sort of brooding kind of
Very similar.
cycle as well. So yeah, I don't really want to stick around. So I think what do I know of what's like in the opposite direction of them? Would I feel comfortable? It's like where do we usually hang out? How far?
Well, you guys
we?
are on the downside. It's up to you. You can try and lose them in the lower part of the ship,
Right.
which is a lot more cavernous, a lot less people, or you can try and lose them in the upper side of the ship where there's a lot more people, but you might draw more attention from those robotic security guards.
Yeah, right. All right, Gronk. I think we're gonna try and lose these guys in the lower, in the downside.
You want ride? We run?
we run. I think I'm going try a distraction first of all. I'm going to take a cred stick of mine, which has like 0.1 creds on it, one cred cent, so to speak, and I'm just gonna, while still backing away without putting too much effort into making it seem like I'm gonna fail or not. Just gonna yell out, "Here's your credits back! I don't want any trouble," and just like throw it down the corridor at them.
Great, give me a bluff roll.
Bluffo, okay. 17 plus 8.
Wow.
15. 25. I'm good at these things.
Yeah, well, they instantly are going, and they start like going for it. So the two more civilized guys, the guys in the armor are just like this is just keeping trained on you, but they're not going to move without the other people's orders. So these guys are like going for the credits, so they sort of like pick them up and start checking it out. They put it in their little cred reader, but that gives you guys the time that you need, and you make a break for it.
I jump on the back of my purple friend here, and it's up to him how fast he runs.
We just start legging it into the underside.
Yeah, good.
Down under or whatever it's called.
Looking over my shoulder.
I just keep turning left.
So we just go back to them.
We did a circle.
Gotta turn right once in a while.
Oh, right. And then I turn right a few times.
All right, cool. Yeah, so you go completely around the block, and you come up behind them, and you're like, whoa, and you're like, you look around, and then you sort of run away, and they start chasing after you down the long corridor. And you hit some stairs and start heading into the underside of the ship, trying to lose these guys. Meanwhile, the underside of the ship, you guys are coming up to these crates. You go up, and Snowball, you have a little rudimentary look sniffing around, and you realize there's a little keypad on the side, and these guys are all locked, monitored, and it seems like they're individually tagged as well. So from the operations training that you received from these mercenaries, who were very earnest about teaching you all of the tricks of the trade, there are two things to watch out for. First is the security system on the outside of the box when it comes to the crate itself, and then inside the box it's likely there's a tracking system both on the box, and depending on how important or valuable the merchandise is, there might be additional tracking systems on each individual piece of merchandise. So it's important to scan all of those things to make sure nobody will be able to follow you with the important things that you're going to steal.
Okay. I chew on the crate. No. First, I see if I can open it by like grappling it with my little arms. But I'm with an android, and like she's just like a big pretty computer. So
basically,
I'm gonna ask her if she can do a thing to the smaller computer to make it open.
To interface with it. Do you have breaking and entering skills?
Not so much. More sleight of hand, grabby.
Okay, so you don't have any lockpicking kind of stuff.
I mean, I probably got some lockpicky stuff on me.
Okay,
Yeah.
so lockpicking translates between manual lockpicking and digital lockpicking in this system, just so that you're aware of it. Which means you'll probably be able to use the same skills.
Okay.
What do they have? Which will probably derive from sleight of hand.
Oh, well, I've got great that.
Yep.
You have 6 of them.
That's not very slight.
So
I would like to sleight of hand the keypad.
All right, cool. So you basically pull out
I'm
like
gonna acrobatic it.
well, it's a magnetic lock system you sort of like interface with, and you're just trying to use like put in a set of scrambling devices on the scrambling numbers on the little keypad that you have while you're swiping your blank sort of electronic system through. So give me a sleight of hand roll.
Done. New dice. Alrighty. It's 15.
Okay. Sort of the door slides, big bolt.
It's the happy sound.
And sort of like and look, opens. Inside, like steam sort of comes off. And if you cold kind of cryogenic fluids, sort of storage, gases just escape, start spilling out along the floor and filling the chamber. You recognize that. It's a cold storage facility just got opened. You just got this power armor all in order. And look around, and the door of one of these crates is open. Give me a sense motive roll.
5.
Oh, well, they obviously must be their crate.
Nobody knows. Just did.
And inside, stacked one by one, on this facing, are a bunch of wooden crates with like apples stenciled on the side.
Wait, so there's crates inside the crates?
There's crates inside the crate.
Okay.
So this crate is a big like cargo shipping container kind of thing, with a big forklift. Lift it up. You've opened the door to that container, and inside the wall is like floor to ceiling, side to side, just apple crates.
Okay, I look inside the apple crates.
They put apples in them.
Oh.
But-
I'd like to steal an apple.
You're welcome
It is
to
pink and
steal
delicious.
as many
Thank you.
apples as you like.
I loved it. Thanks.
There are boxes of them. Like this thing is like 2 meters across, 2.5 meters tall. You pull out one. Give me a perception roll.
9.
There's like another layer of crates behind that. You're not sure what's beyond that. You probably have to like take out a few boxes if you think that there's something else in there.
Yeah, I know these guys are up to something, so
They're not shipping apples. Legaton Industries does not deal in fresh produce. They deal in high-end robotics, android bodies, and intelligence matrices.
More of an android than Apple.
Snowball, can you eat one of these apples and tell me if it's an apple?
Yeah. Oh, would you like me to roll sense motive
No.
on the apple?
You eat the apple, it is a delicious
Okay.
apple.
Okay.
In fact, you're really impressed with exactly how tasty it is. It is sweet and wonderful.
It's too tasty.
Is it too tasty?
No, well,
Sorry.
Is it a suspiciously tasty apple?
it is not a... Well, make that sense motive roll on the apple.
I will.
No, you sense it. Yeah,
Okay.
It doesn't matter. You have a choice of perception or sense motive, or life science.
I'll just sense motive. 19.
This is definitely very delicious. It seems like one of the it must be a genetically modified apple.
Nailed it.
Yeah.
You're welcome,
In the
buddy.
future, isn't everything genetically modified?
Everything
No,
would be.
not always. There are so many planets. There's so much fresh produce from all over the galaxy.
There's still going to be GMO haters.
Yeah, right? They do good, guys.
You want to open more crates?
Yes! Thank you, Snowball.
I'd like to help her open more crates, please.
All right, cool. So you eventually start pulling them out. Takes a little while. You're sort of got this thing in order, and you feel like you've done your job here, but you're not sure what to do with this wayward piece of machinery. And you're like, what should I do with this? And you look around and you see these guys. They're like pulling just crates of apples out of this thing. And then you hear the sound of running off in the distance. They don't hear it because they're like in the middle of this crate and they're really like captivated. No, that's an apple. This is still a genetically modified apple. It's exactly the same. There's no variation in these apples. Then you pull out one crate and it's all rotten. It's like, why would somebody put a crate of rotten apples in here? And you find a little worm and it's covered in glitter. It's like just a glitter worm.
That's okay.
Galactic glitter worms eating all the apples. It's got a little face with noses on it. It's got
What?
3 noses. Yeah.
3 noses. It needs
Nostrils or noses?
Noses.
Oh, well,
Each one.
Those 2 smell space.
Anyway, you're hearing this running coming from. And then you hear a discharge of energy. And the wall, you guys catch a smell of ion in the air as a blast from an energy weapon hits the wall just on the opposite side of the crate. And you're like, whoa! And you guys are running, and the blast of energy, these guys have obviously pulled out some kind of pistol or concealed pistols. You see one of them's holding out his hand like this. Looks like whoosh, a part of his arm has come out, has some kind of concealed laser pistol. It's blasted down the corridor.
Gronk, evasive maneuvers. Do a barrel roll.
Make a piloting roll.
Terrible at piloting as well. 17. plus-
Usually you get Gronk to pilot himself, but in this
Yeah.
instance you've got one ear and the other with your 2 hands.
I'm rolling rocks today. 19.
Wow, it's like, whoa, like you didn't even hear that coming.
Do a barrel.
As these Alorians are just sort of closing in on you, you should like pile into a room and like skid past and dive over behind some crates. Give me a perception roll, both of you guys.
all right. Let's see how good Gronk is.
Perceptione. It starts with P, which is down with the other P's.
That's a 9.
20 altogether.
Awesome. Well, Gronk doesn't see them, but as Gronk's like diving behind the crates, you realize that there are 2 people just standing there staring at you, and they are Snowball, this white Skittermander. You're wearing like a little vest and covered with grenades and various other implements. Like, you're like, how the hell did they get those weapons on this ship?
Right.
And then standing right next to them is the glowing surface skin of an android. The long, what kind of hair is it? Long black hair coming out one side? Or-
Yeah, shaved it one side.
yeah, shaved on one side. So they
We have the
coming
same
out,
haircut.
looking around.
Yours is more functional.
Yeah, you sort of like Gronk. You don't know as you like pop up from behind the apple crates. You realize you're kind of stuck in a bit of a dead end here.
Gronk, where did you bring us?
I went left.
You and your apples.
I was hungry.
So these two like dive into the room and would like to get some. Have you had a physical description so far?
Giant purple.
Giant purple.
Big set of tusks.
How are you
coming
dressed?
out. I'm in armor. I'm never far from my armor.
Mm-hmm.
I learned a long time ago to always have my armor.
What color
on me.
scheme do you paint it in?
It's just very battered and worn down. It's in good nick, but I don't take care of the paint. It's,
Okay.
it's just chipped and
Yeah.
damaged down
What
to
color
bare
was
metal.
it once?
It was once gold. Once gold.
I want the gold one, he
It
said.
was a highly reflective energy coating, energy-proof coating that was on there, but it's just gone over
it's
time.
gone.
It doesn't have that function anymore.
Gronk is not an artist.
There's a few smatters of red and the brown cakes of congealed blood sort of stuck in all the bits and
He
pieces.
also has like tatters of like leather
Yep.
hanging off his armor.
Nice,
So
nice.
just different skins, different leather types, just kind of hanging around.
Yep. And sitting on the shoulder of this purple beast is a small lizard wearing a cowboy hat, white cowboy hat.
I say.
And it looks probably a little Mississippi string tie and what other accoutrements?
Some boots.
Space boots?
They're space boots. They're made from some kind of skin of not a respected sentient race.
Yeah, some other form of derogatory reptile.
Yeah.
Not the proud Ikishti that you are.
And apart from that,
Yeah, that's pretty much a couple of pouches around the back waistway, but apart from that, keeps itself very well kept.
Yep. And then further down the corridor, you hear the sounds of footsteps coming. Not just regular footsteps, but also some armored footsteps coming down. Just as that's happening, you see the apple crate falls down, because you were like pulling it out, and then it falls down. And then behind it, stacked one on top of the other, cryogenically monitored body boxes.
Wow.
Stacked one on top of the other.
Am I able to, like in a swift action, pull down the rest of these boxes and take a quick photo with my smartphone?
You mean your eyes? 'Cause
Your
you're an
eyes.
android.
Your smart eyes.
I have camera eyes! Yeah, cool. I get out of there because I'm not about to get in these guys' mess. I'm doing illegal stuff.
Yeah, you're doing illegal stuff. What's going on? Who knows? So yeah, you quickly pull it down, smash, 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 apples everywhere. Sort of start rolling out across the floor. You're like, but why? Your rigorous sense of OCD is like being violated by these broken apple crates. Think of all the fresh pot juice going to waste. And around the corner rush 4 beings. There's 2 Lorian fish people, with the sort of large bald heads, gills going down here, the robes with the gold detailing and the shining lines of light on their shoulders, and then behind them 2 others, this time in power armor, and one of them goes chink, and a blade sort of folds out from here, and the other one does the same thing, and then you see this glowing a glowing laser rifle or laser attachment to their arms just coming out the bottom. You instantly recognize the tech. It's pretty substandard by comparison to the stuff that your factory was producing.
I loudly announced to everybody in the room that we don't know these guys. I don't know who they are and why they're chasing us. Just want everyone to know that. Nice to meet you all. But we don't know who they are. Never met them before in my life.
You recognize them almost straight away. These are the current context of Amon Hector. And they're the ones who have been charged with overseeing the shipment of bodies. So they look, they see the crates, they see that they're open, and they see you rapidly tapping the pictures, and they're like, "You will get our money back off of you! Wait! Who the hell are you?" And they start looking visibly freaked out by that, more freaked out than the fact that they lost some money.
Can I evade and try to take some cover?
Yeah, well, you're behind a bunch of apple boxes. You're not sure how much cover they're going to offer you.
Yeah.
What do you want to do, Joe? These people have come in, they've flicked out weapons, they've got their sort of laser blasters, and then just looking down the corridor, and they're looking into the room. It's just a big room laid out before you. There's crates, there's these 4 dumpsters full of just junk, obviously things that are rejects from your factory being off-sold to other parts of the galaxy. There's a crate of another wall of just crates, miscellaneous boxes, and then across the other wall there's just vehicles and agricultural equipment covered in cargo netting. And then the open part of this, the middle of this space is pretty open. What would you like to do?
I'm confused. I'm not very intelligent. I want to get the one thing I recognize in this room, the power armor that we found in that first thing, out of the fight.
Okay, cool. So you step inside.
Yeah, I step inside the thing and
Alright.
slowly back away.
I'm gonna not escalate the fight by getting into the mecha. Just cool. I
Alright,
like
awesome. So you step inside of the mecha until it goes in. The big pyramid on the front of the body and the eyes on the inset face glow up. And these guys whoa, shit. Start stepping back a little bit. Phil or Gronk?
Gronk goes oh, I want armor. So I'm on the other side of the room.
Yep. Yeah,
To
you
them?
went to the other side. So the far end of the room is where these guys, where
the crates?
these two are. They're fossicking through these crates. The apple, you're behind the apple crates, and these guys are right next to you.
Now I don't have any weapons, correct?
Well, you might have concealed 1 or 2 things. So anything that's small and you might have been able to smuggle into the casino, you can have on you. Anything big, no.
So I don't have my Doshiko.
But there is a whole bunch of very enticing looking bits of junk that are strewn all over the floor that came out of that crate. Some very easy lots of clubs, melee weapon type things. Nothing custom made for the job, but things that'll probably do the job just as well.
I have a quick scan over the room in general, trying to look for something to at least so I can hold my own against these blades and guns.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, like I said, in the
Yeah.
pile of junk, you see a big pipe with some jagged bits of
Perfect.
sharp, twisted metal coming off of it. And then you see that there's a panel there that's actually got a big handhold on the back, and you could probably just swing it up and use it as a shield if you wanted to.
I go full two-handed on the
Nice.
pipe.
Yeah, it's nice and hefty.
So I leap over the crate, run into the...
Yeah, it's not far away. It's just
Right.
30 feet from you. So jump over the crate, sort of grab it, and that's most of your movement action, unless you want to charge at them.
And then I'm gonna charge. Because Gronk smash.
All right, so I'm just gonna assume you go into a full charge action, and you get to them, and you're right there.
Cool. I attack, the closest armored guy, I suppose.
Yep. Just rush up to them. They're whoa, they're already taken aback by the fact that there's this big suit of power armor there. And then you just fearlessly rush up to them, just swing in.
Cool.
Let's make a roll.
17.
Yeah, that's gonna hit. So swings in. The guy's just startled again by the armor, sees you come up, tries to parry, but it just slunks a big chunk of metal, slides into his arm and penetrates his armor. Roll for damage.
Nice. Would that be a D4? What's the damage on my giant pipe?
D8.
D8.
Plus your
good
strength
pipe.
bonus. It's basically a giant club.
What's my strength?
It's like Christmas.
Yeah, that's 7 damage.
So slides back, torn open a section of the armor, and you see some of his like turquoise flesh showing through, and this blood just smatters around it. Cool. And then, what are you doing, Jet?
So I want to take this whole company down, and I can't really do that from jail.
Not
So
heaps.
even if these guys are bad, I just can't really kill them. So
Unless you kill them and get away with it.
Well, that's true. How do we explain the dead bodies in the
Well, that's up to you.
It's a future Android problem.
I mean, I guess I could blame it on this purple giant guy and this weird lizard that has run into the room. So, yeah,
Yeah, might just solve itself. Okay, cool.
how close am I to the fish people? I feel like they're more of a threat to me right now.
You're like about 30 feet away, or like, what's that, 5 meters?
Oh, okay, cool. I move up towards them and cast Jolting Surge, which I touch the target with a device that I'm holding that uses electricity.
Tamagotchi.
And what is it?
So you need to do a touch attack against him.
Yeah, dealing 4d6 electricity damage.
Sure, well, just roll to hit.
Oh, rolled a hit.
Yeah, roll the touch. Yeah.
Roll to touch, yeah.
11.
Plus your range. What is your melee attack? Melee touch? Oh, yeah, that's 0. Yeah, right. It's 11.
Alright, cool. You sort of, as you swing through the air, sparks, just like ushering off your fingers in the Tamagotchi. Is it a Tamagotchi? Or is it your watch? I don't know.
Yeah, it's my Tamagotchi, sure.
You swing your Tamagotchi through the air. Violent arcs of dangerous electricity swinging through. He just like swings back. And then suddenly, the whole room shudders. Everybody sort of loses their footing. Except for you, who's like already magnetized to the floor. It's like, detection. Vibrations in the ship. Dangerous levels of vibrations in environment.
Good to see the systems are working.
Yeah. Suggest levitating. And you're like, oh, cool. You didn't realize the magic systems were online in this suit. So he's like, all right, cool. Activate levitation.
Yep, I'm good. Sucks to be those guys outside.
Yeah. All right, and slide. What are you doing? You just shaking.
Okay. Do
like,
I need a?
Gronks just run ahead. And you like
Can
just
I-
threw you off the back, and you just jump down instinctively.
Can I do a perspection? Yeah, I'm sticking with that.
Perception.
Perception to figure out what has created this mass amount of, or it's hard to tell. It's
No. Give me perception or quite possibly an engineering roll.
I'll give you perception. I can roll my engineering.
If you want, anyone's allowed to make an engineering roll at this point. If you all want to roll and see if you can
Okay,
figure
cool.
out what this thing is.
I got a 1 on my perception.
Yeah. Must have been Gronk.
You're getting stronger. That's amazing.
Did anyone get above a 15?
No.
I got 15.
Oh,
Does that count?
Does,
Yeah.
does that make me 24?
So perception.
Yeah.
Engineering.
Perception, engineering.
Oh, you're doing. Sorry, yeah, engineering. So yeah, 24.
24. I know what's going on.
You're like, oh.
You really know what's going on.
Yeah, you really know what's going on.
I'm
You're
real
like,
good at machines.
oh,
Okay?
something's going wrong. Something's the ship's impacted something, and you're like, whoa, and you're like, that sound. Like, it's not just the shaking, the vibration of the whole ship, but you get these like high-pitched reverberations, sort of like screeches coming along. It seems like another ship has just made impact with this ship.
I mean, I don't even know I'm on a ship, honestly, right now.
Well, you do now.
That does sound like an awful lot of trouble.
Yeah, well, that's what you know. You know a ship,
Yeah.
hit a ship.
That's the sound of
Maybe
that
you're
name.
on a ship. Oh, I'm on a ship.
I'm on a ship.
Alright.
Oh, shit.
I'm on a ship in trouble. Oh, yeah.
That's
No ship.
now
Oh, shit.
touching another ship violently.
So
So-
these guys, sorry, what would you like to do?
Shall I follow out the rest of my
Yeah, so you've gone...
Alright, so I've gone, what the heck? And I figured, right, that's a bigger situation for later. Right now, I've got a bunch of guys in front of me, and Gronk's, my business partner's just hit someone very hard with a large pipe. So I'm gonna move to behind a crate if I can, pull a small tactical auto pistol out of my boot, and yell, "I'll ruin you like I ruined my company!" and squeeze off a couple of rounds at the one next to the one Gronk was, the other fish bucket.
Great, give me a shot.
The other armored one.
Yeah, the one that Gronk's already hit, and the other one.
The one that Gronk's already hit.
Yeah, cool.
With the turquoise leaking out of him. So rolling hit plus number 2. That's a critical hit. That's a critical on with the plus 2, the 22 altogether. Yeah, rolling rocks, man. Today it's great. Rocks
so
good.
You're rolling on fire.
Rolling rocks is good. Rolling rocks is bad. Either way, we're rolling good.
For you, who is not
So
very
roll
good at gambling,
damage.
excellent.
Yeah. Rolling for damage. That's a 1d6, which is a 6.
Nice.
This is
Fire.
why you're the brains and I'm the brawn.
Yeah, sure.
He's a con
Shot goes off. It's blasts off, like just goes straight into his chest plate. Sort of tears it off. You see skin exposed again, and a big char wound as it sort of cauterizes and disintegrates some of the chest.
Cool.
Some of the damage.
As a swift action, I'm going to drop prone after that.
Okay.
So if I had probably not even seen if I've hit it or anything. So I probably didn't see it. It just went down the ground.
All right. You drop the ground.
On my-
Flat as thing.
like this.
These. Okay, cool.
Get it, Rob.
So at which point, Snowball, what would you like to do?
Oh, I'd like to save the galactic little worm. So I'm gonna grab him in one hand as I run past the apples, and I'm gonna dive behind the
He's like,
crates. Yeah, I'll be like, I got you guys. And I'm gonna hide in front of those frozen corpses so no one can risk shooting me without damaging company property. And I'm gonna try not to step on this lizard guy. But I like his hat, so I'd like to say, "Hello, I'm Snowball. What's your name?"
Oh, you're not taking my hat.
No,
Sorry.
no. I'm just admiring it.
Okay, that's
So
nice.
you look up and you see something that's smaller than you.
Yeah.
You're instantly encouraged.
Yeah. So I'm laying on the ground with one hand over my hat, because it's generally what I do when I fall to the ground prone. I do that a lot. And I'm like yelling, "Get him, Gronk!" And, "Oh yes, hello, nice to meet you." And I don't know which hand to shake, and there's this awkward moment of like, you know when you go to shake someone's hand but you realize you're using your left hand, and there's like, oh, but they're holding something? It's like that, because you're holding a worm.
I'd like to shake your hand with my remaining 5 hands. Very warmly.
Okay, so it's one of these ones, and there's 5 of them going on. Okay,
Yeah.
cool, awesome.
Yeah.
And then I'm back to the battle again. Okay, cool.
And then these guys look around, everything's shaking. It hasn't stopped shaking. Things are still sort of shuddering and shaking. They're like, "What the hell? Just cut and run! Burn it! Quickly!" And one of the guys in armor sort of reaches in and pulls off one of these circular plates that's just magnetized to the back of his armor, goes onto the bottom, and clicks a dial, and just throws it in the direction of the crates. And just gonna try and hit the crates, but instead it just flips through the air and lands kind of in the center of the room, but they're not even waiting to find out what's going on. They'll immediately turn and run back up the corridor as fast as they can. You guys aren't sure what that. Well, you guys can all make anyone can make an engineering roll, see if they can figure out what it is in DC 15. If you have a military background, you can add +2 to it.
That's an apple for as far as I know.
Yeah.
Throwing more apples at us.
engineering?
I got it.
Engineering.
I got
That's a 20.
I got a 20 plus 8. 28.
Yeah, awesome. Alright, so you guys are like, that's a fucking thermal detonator! What the fuck is that shit? And you immediately know, based on your test spectrums, that you're like, oh, I've seen these things. We field tested some of these before. Not this particular model. This is one of those dodgy models made by those third-rate Aloran.
Yeah, they've got like about a 40% of unsuccessful rate. So.
Yeah, absolutely. There is a chance that they
that
might not
this is
actually
fine.
go off. You're like, that's gonna blast everything in this area within like probably 30 feet of it, which is currently encompassing all of you guys.
Okay.
How long?
Oh, as they run away from you, Gronk, you can make a ching.
Oh yes, attack of opportunity. 15 plus 5, so 20.
Yeah, that's gonna hit roll damage.
That's 6 damage.
All right. So the other one the one that came out and threw the thing is going away. He's sort of going to go away, and you're like, dink, and it sort of just comes over, lands on his shoulder, and sort of embeds just down at the neck a little bit, and then you just wrench it back, and he comes clean off his feet as he's trying to run away. He doesn't even like see it going. He just like suddenly crumples and then falls back, and then completely comes back onto his back, slamming on the ground. His helmet sort of comes clean off, and you see his fishy face, like a couple of membranes clicking down over his eyeballs as he stares up, and then coughs, red splatter coming out of his mouth, and then just falling unconscious onto the ground. And the others run away.
Go ahead, Grog.
Smash.
But as they've vacated the room, you see like a terminal in the corner just next to the corridor, which is normally kept for inventory and access communications to general ship facilities. Starting screens just starting to flash red, and a general siren. Red lights start going down the length of the ceiling, and then just illuminating on the floor, pointing out a series of arrows to a certain direction. Usually that indicates emergency exit to these locations.
All right, Gronk. I think we're gonna make like a tree and get the hell out of here.
Let's bark.
Gotta work on that. So leap over the chest and look at the strange apparatus on the ground and just assume that it's some piece of something that's fallen off something. And I assume this doesn't explode straight away. It's ticking or something like that.
Well, you don't know.
Time to
You
act.
guys know it's on a timer,
Yeah,
and
hello.
you've probably got at least one round, maybe two, just like 5-10 seconds. You know this model's a bit dodgy, and it's got a limit of minimum like 10 seconds.
I'm also in a power suit, so I should be protected even if it does.
Yeah, you'll be all right.
mostly.
You're just like more concerned about damaging the power suit. It won't destroy it, but it might scratch the paint.
It's true, but it's still got that plastic film on it.
That's right. And it'll eat away the plastic film and might do some heat damage.
No, not the plastic film is the best bit.
So I'm gonna gesture to Gronk to leave the area, but I don't know. Maybe this thing in the middle kind of looks cool. Does it have any value? I might want to pick it up. So I'm gonna stop and look at it. And be
Okay,
like,
cool.
Why is it beeping?
Give me an engineering roll.
10. 10.
Well, yeah, you go over and pick it up.
It's got bits
like,
in it.
Oh, it's got like a dial on the back and like little numbers clicking down. Click, or is it numbers? You're not sure. You don't understand the language, but it's like little things. It's like that predator dial. It's like, click. Oh, that's cool.
Well, I'm just standing at the door going, boss. Boss.
All right. Well, meanwhile, what are you doing?
Yeah, I'm getting out of there.
Okay. Are you gonna say anything as you run away from this room?
No, because if they find his body, then I can blame it all on him.
Okay, cool. Yeah, no, that's very Android. All right, cool. It's like, what? Everyone else is just a pawn in my game.
I might take the Skittermander.
Okay,
I'd like to go.
so you're gonna grab the Skittermander,
Yeah.
throw it on the shoulder. You were happy to be picked up. Yeah, awesome. So you see the android, like a streak of light from her radiant markings on her skin, and she just like grabs the Skittermander under her arm and just starts running down the corridor in the directions of the emergency arrows. Yes.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right. And what would you like to do?
I'd like to move over towards that panel next to the door that you said.
Okay, so you go
existed.
across, and that's like, see, you know that that's outside of the radius of the blast.
Yeah.
You get to the panel and open the front of the armor, and
What's going on?
yeah, so you access it. You've got computers and skill.
Yes.
Awesome.
I do.
Making computers roll.
15 plus 8.
Oh, +8.
Yeah.
You're awesome at it. Okay, cool. You're basically just like boom, boom. Yeah, standard emergency interface comes up, which means you have access to a lot more systems than you normally would. Normally, you'd have to put into passcode stuff like that. But in this situation, you have better access to the system as a whole. You slide through and you just like slide it over on a touchscreen. It's like hit some of the heavy mechanical keys. And it's like brings up a ship's diagram. It seems like something has collided with one side of the ship, and there's danger signals coming from. So a whole bunch of the emergency bulkheads have just come down and cordoned off that whole section of the ship, but it's big enough to have collided into a full 30% of the side of the vessel. You're not sure what it is, but they have like feeds. You could access like a camera feed if you wanted to. And you bring it up, and you get like a few outside cameras and some sensor readings, and apparently a high-speed object has, in the log you're reading, it's like high-speed object has materialized straight out of the drift and then collided immediately into the side of this ship. There was no warning. They got mild distress signals and then suddenly slam. Looking at the camera views, you see this object. It's a strange, sleek object that goes probably about 500 meters in length. Various coils and lines, all in shimmering metallic material, ridges and shapes, some kind of alien construction that you don't recognize. From it, there where all the large plates joined together, steam is hissing out and a light emanates from them. Alerts are going around on all of the ship. When it came in, it struck one of the main engines and boom, boom, boom. You guys are feeling the explosions of chain reactions that are flowing down to the end of the ship. The ship was passing, the impact was sufficient enough to move the whole ship far enough across to get pulled into the gravitational well of a nearby planet. And everything is going down. Warning lights are going up, and the signals are telling everybody to get to emergency escape pods. You guys are currently in a cargo bay. There are, well, anyway, that's what you're getting.
Is there anything else in this cargo bay, like vehicles or anything?
There are some ground vehicles, but I'm going to leave that for your action for the moment, because that's a lot of information. But I'm going to say, because you're a whiz. That's what you do. You just like standard protocol, even under the hardest situations. You keep it cool. All right. So Gronk, you see your friend standing over there. What did you get on your engineering roll for identifying that device?
I think it was a 5.
All right. Give me a sense motive roll.
It's a 5.
All right, cool. Yeah, what would you like to do?
Can I go run, pick him up, and keep going? But he's still carrying it.
Of course. All right, so you go over, you grab him, you pick him up, you do a full dash motion. You're like holding the thing. It's like, oh, cool. Give me another engineering roll, or computers if you like.
Crack
Not.
that.
It's all +0.
Let's do computers. 16.
Oh, natural 20.
Oh, who was that for?
What were you rolling that for?
You didn't say who to.
No, I said for him to. But you have a
Wasted
natural 20.
I wasted it.
And it was for a running roll, and you like totally catch up to Jet. Jet's like, you're like running, you got that snowball there on your arm, and you guys both look back, and like suddenly Gronk's like, it's really hilarious because you're there, you're holding snowball, he's there, he's holding slide.
So I rolled computers and I've got a 16.
All right, cool.
My company used to make computers, and there was a model that had a large lithium-ion battery which would explode every now and again in it. So it's taken me a long time to get there, but I've gone, it's kind of like that model we use, which would explode all the time, and it took
Okay.
I don't know. That's maybe a few.
But you also were like, oh, maybe if I just push this button. But at that point, like you've got this guy running up to you. He's still holding this device that's about to detonate.
So I've realized that he's still holding it. Drop it! Throw it away! It's a grenade!
A bop it! It's a bopper! You bop the side and then you press the other bit and then you bop it.
And you go click, click, and the numbers reset.
Okay, cool.
So you hit the button.
Cool. Oh, well, maybe I just drop it because it's useless and Gronk's carrying me. I'm like, okay.
So you see these guys. You guys are all running still. you lean out. look down the corridor, like.
Don't know what's going on. Know what's going on here.
And you're like, all right, what's the nearest escape? You say safe escape protocol. They're taking you to. There are all these lights that are going to the escape pods. They're pre-standard. Get in them, and then they'll just automatically pilot you to the nearest planet safe spot. Send off the beacon. But you're also within close proximity to Lighter Bay, where a lot of small to medium scale ships used for transporting from ship to planet. They're not drift capable, but they're definitely capable of going from the void to surface. And they probably have a lot more control in something like that, where you'd be able to fit a lot more things in something like that if you wanted to. Like, definitely you'd be able to put this suit in it, whereas you wouldn't be able to put this suit in an escape pod. But you're a little concerned about your fluffy friend.
But she was just so cute.
Yeah. Do you want to call after them? They seem to be going the wrong direction.
I do definitely want to call after them because I'm not very good at piloting. So I might need them
So
if
you
we
lean
want to
out.
go to the closer bay and lean out with my long arms and be like, "Oh, you guys,
Jojo!
hey, hey, thing. I have an idea."
Listen to the power suit.
I'm sticking out of the power suit at this point.
uh-huh.
Like,
Yeah.
The thing's open. And I'm just like leaning out, just been, like trying to. Chase
Okay, so
after
they're
you
sort
guys.
of vaguely paying attention to you. You sort of like you clung to the wall as far away from this device as you can. He's like, and it's deactivated.
Okay.
And you guys all breathe a sigh of relief, and then you hear a little voice coming down. Hey, I got an idea. You guys listen?
Yeah.
Cool.
Definitely listen.
So the power suit starts walking. It's still open. It's just strolling down the corridor. Actually, you turned on the levitation function, so it's like, and you're like, whoa. You're all like, the fuck? You've seen like anti-gravity and stuff like that, but there's none of the residual vibrations that come from anti-gravity technology. This is some experimental shit.
Oh, okay, cool.
Just like floating down the corridor
Gronk, you ever
towards you
seen
guys.
something like that before?
And they say,
Only dreams.
There's another bay right across from here that I think might be faster to get out of here. There's some heavy shit going on in this ship.
Gronk, if those Alorians come back, we want to have this power suit on our side. Yeah, let's follow that one.
Suit.
Yeah, suit.
Jojo's a wizard. Let's go with him.
I trust the Skidamando.
well, there's got to be one unifying element that ties everyone together. And if it's Snowball, I'm okay with it.
I mean, I do want to say it's a cute little fluffy thing. It's the first cute little fluffy thing I've ever seen in my life.
It's true.
Yay!
From the drab, like, environment of a factory
Nothing in my
backdrop.
factory, in my dull factory life that is exciting as this. I want to save how these exciting things that I've just seen.
It actually reminds you of one of your desk toys.
I do. It's a little bobble head and it's fluffy and it's got like only 4 arms, but like it's super close.
So Joe, just like levitating down the corridor, like, this way, and goes up, and you've just downloaded all of the emergency access passcodes off of that thing, and then just this little tablet leans out, plugs into it. It's like, tick, 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 and this opens up, and you guys see as the door opens, this big sort of like 2 meter by 3 meter doorway, and you see into the bay. In the bay, there are fighter ships, there are small cargo ships, there are slightly larger bulk lifters, and then there's kind of like a middle class of ship that's sort of like part cargo and part of things. There are also small vehicles parked all on the side of the loading bay. But right now, what you see is beyond that, the whole wall of the lighter bay, where ships come and go from this part of the facility, has been opened and is just finishing opening, and a force shield is there that ships can fly through, but gravity can't come through. And beyond that, you see a planet, green, blue, and red down there, with these clouds covering the surface. Between the planet and the ship, you see debris, torn off bits of the ship, explosions, a couple other ships, escape pods jettisoning, as everything's going to heck right here. Another explosion comes off. And you see across the other side of the lighter bay, crew are scrambling, just like getting out. They've got like helmets up. They're just running over to the bay. Guys refueling quickly, takes it out. People are running up ladders into the ships. In all this chaos, nobody notices you.
Alright, this is worse than the time a Squawks got caught in the copier.
And there's that distinct feeling of the whole ship listing closer and closer towards the planet. This ship was not designed to enter atmosphere.
We
It was
don't
built
know
in space
that.
to stay in space.
Also, it's exploding. Okay.
I know how to pilot a ship. Let's steal one.
Let's go.
I
Stay
really-
there.
Which one fit the suit?
I'm sticking with
I want
whoever
suit.
can fly me
Alright,
out of
so
here.
either one of the bulk lifters, one of the middle range ships that carries a bit of cargo and has like cockpit and all that kind of stuff. Some
Is there
crew
any with a
quarters.
jacuzzi?
Which one can you fly,
Me, somebody roll percentage for me. So just take 2 d10s and roll percentile.
You'll have 101.
I've got 2 d10s.
I got a 9.
Yep.
0-9.
Roll that again.
Oh, no, 9.
9 again. Roll again.
Yeah. And a 6.
Okay, so 96 out of 100 is a pretty high roll for coincidence. So I like to make percentage rolls in my game. I like to make percentage rolls to see if there's a percentage chance of something happening, which means that I make up a number in my head, somebody rolls some dice, 2 10-sided dice, out of 100, and if I determine there's a 25% chance of something happening, if they roll 25% or less, then that thing has happened or that object is within their grasp. The other roll that I make is a scaling system where I'm like, how much money do you owe someone? How important is that person that you just pissed off? Or in this case, how cool and tricked out is that ship that's sitting in the lighter bay?
Yeah.
And so, a gleaming gold and turquoise ship that probably belonged to those fish people because it seems to be of similar make. A luxury cruising yacht sits in the bay, not too far away from you, but you do see those 2 fish people and their friend in the power armor that did not get crushed by Gronk on the other side of the bay, running across towards it. You've probably got a good head start on them if you want to get to the ship. It's a big circular ship with spines that come off here and there, most of which are retracted up into a central position, and then a large protrusion out the front coming to a smooth angular finish. Its landing gear are these large rounded points designed to land in difficult terrain or water. In the emergency situation, the ramp has come down from the central circle of the ship and sits there.
That one.
I run into the ship.
Let's do that. I think we all legging towards that ship.
Alright, awesome.
Even if we see those guys running in the same
Is it
direction
actually
as
the
well.
closest ship?
It's not exactly the closest ship. There's
it the
another
shiniest?
one which is like a really rough and tumble, hard-edged model sitting there with
Stuff
good
that.
thrusters, nice cargo bay. It's got like some guns mounted on it. If this other one has guns on it, they're not obvious, but you know.
Which it should, because it had mercenaries and stuff on it.
It's true. It's a logical deduction. You know that this. Give me an engineering roll.
I'm gonna take it from those fish people.
Yeah.
Yeah, I shouldn't be engaging in
We're gonna
Grand
get 8.
Theft spaceship.
You rolled a 0.
Roll 0.
Well, but here we are.
I don't know much about these fish people. I've never left my planet.
You don't know. You don't know. You do know that you can't tell it. At this point, you're just under so much pressure. You're like, these guys are running for the shiny ship. You're looking at the practical ship. You're like, but they're already halfway to the shiny ship. By the time you realize maybe you should take the practical ship, and you're like, whatever.
Alright.
Can I
these
roll
DeLoreans.
an engineering roll?
Yes.
To see if the shiny ship is practical.
Yeah.
Oh.
It's shiny. It's shiny.
Will the ship be full of water because they're Illyrians and they have to fish people?
You made your alien sciences roll before. No, they're amphibious.
Okay, cool. Alright, cool.
So there's some water.
They're probably
got a
gonna.
beach.
There'll probably be a spa
Literally
or like some
Touch it.
water rooms to hang out in.
Yeah, okay. Oh, that makes it even better. I just want to take this from those guys, so I'm legging towards it.
Awesome. Well, as you guys are running up, you hear. First thing that you hear is this guy, one of these Elorians, going, "Hey, what are you doing? Get back here!"
I'm gonna
Get away from our ship! That's our ship!
That one. You should take that one. That one's better. It's got guns. You don't know what you'll find outside. Can I do a diplomacy check to try and convince them that
They're
they should
not
take the
going to
other one?
listen to you at this
Yeah,
point.
that's fair.
Yeah.
That's fair.
It's like that kind of diplomacy is for the meeting room.
When we're not running it.
Yeah.
Yep, cool.
Can I throw my pipe at them to try and slow them
Yeah,
down?
absolutely.
Gronk, use diplomacy.
Yeah. Gronk diplomacy. 12 as my attack throw.
Okay, so like glances off one of their armors, like what the? So they slow down a little bit. They're just being a bit more trepidatious about approaching as you guys get to the vehicle and go up the ramp. You get to the top of the ramp, the door is closed.
Oh.
Can I lockpick it?
Absolutely.
Yay!
So you pull out your thing quickly, like you just like Jet. You're like quick. You hold out your multi-purpose snowball.
Yay! I got 18.
Oh wow! You just like apparently it's on exactly the same circuit as the last thing that you opened. So it's like
Yay!
door opens. They're like, hey, we paid a lot for that security system.
Can I throw something at them as we run in the door?
Yeah. Well, you just like turn around to throw something, and they like blast start shooting in your direction.
Probably stick your tongue out, I imagine.
Can I throw a smoke bomb?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yay! 11.
It's right, so it bounces like right under where you guys are. You guys can't quite see where you're going, but
Well, we have to go in the
useful.
door.
you just have to go in the door with big LED lights around the door, like.
Oh, good lighting now.
Red bomb, run!
You guys rush inside. A blast comes in and scrapes up the side of the armor, ruining the paint job.
Oh.
You see the plastic smell of plastic melting away and peeling off. As you levitate up through.
Awesome.
Another shot comes in and catches Slide right in the back. You sort of whiplash back as it's a high value energy blast. How many wounds do you have?
I have.
What's your stamina?
My stamina 6.
All right, cool. What are your wounds?
What are my wounds? None. Thank you.
Okay.
Oh, what now?
How many did I take?
You took like. Let me roll for you. 10.
Oofed.
What?
All right, cool.
blast, not again.
Boom. All right, cool. That's
That's actually doubled because it was natural 20.
Did you just kill him?
I didn't kill him. I didn't exceed double his damage.
10 altogether, so I have. Yep, cool.
But
That's really hurt.
Yeah, you hear a cry, and you look behind you, and he's like slams face first onto the gangplank going up. You also turn around.
Yeah, I got to get my boss. I run down and grab him.
Okay, so you're like running up, and you hear that, you hear the cry, and you look at Gronk's face, and this hard ass motherfucker of a freaking, of a purple dude is like he's just doing grunt, and then for the first time, you see his eyes change, genuine fear, genuine concern, and genuine love that he has for this little spinster. And at that point, you kind of feel a little connection because you feel envy. You don't feel emotions in the same way that they do. But looking at this person now and the companionship that they share, you feel like that's something you want in your life. And he runs down, grabs his guy, and you're like, I'm gonna get these guys out of here. You rush straight to the cockpit. Boom, boom. All lights up, gets into action, and a few more blasts go off, but they just pound into the ship as you close the door behind you guys as you get inside. You're like, I will get you, you bastards! And then run over to the shitty ship. And then you like, give me a piloting roll.
Stop rolling. I got 10.
All right, ships that like goes up and like slams off. You've come into the cargo area, so you've like crouched down a little bit, and you're sort of in the yacht. You're like, shit, I better get out of this because you're not going to be able to get through the smaller corridors beyond this initial entrance. But you're sort of getting out, and then suddenly the whole shit kind of slides sideways, and then the door almost slams up into your face, and you bite your tongue and your jaw like comes up, and it clatters around the interior. The rest of you guys are just like, whoa, as the ship sort of goes across, and it actually catches the other armored guy in the landing gear. It's like just collecting him. He's like spins off. You see his leg is up in the completely wrong angle, and his head is embedded into the floor. These other guys like, whoa, get away, get away! The side of the nice shiny gold ship sort of scrapes off, and as the sort of fins, the sort of directional fins come down from the side, it scrapes off the side of this other ship, knocks it a little bit, and then you sort of like bring yourself to center and hit the thrusters and come out. You sort of like knock one of the sensor fins off the side, damaging it. As you come out of the cargo hold, debris swirls around you. The ship is sort of moving towards you as you move away from it. This huge mass as it sort of slowly moves around. Make another piloting roll as you attempt to escape the clusterfuck that is the ship.
I'm gonna hold on.
Are we
You're
dead?
gonna kill us all.
Yeah, you guys
Should probably get back
You're
in the
pushing
armor.
the thrusters away from the ship. You guys are all just clinging on. The thing's like turns on its side again. Artificial gravity starts to kick in at this point, and you find yourselves like, whoa, okay, cool, and you just like hit the magna boots on your suit. Just like come down and cluster in. But this thing is just like coming closer and closer. You're sort of getting away from it. You're getting dangerously close to clinging to the side, and you suddenly you all feel like boom, of the shields instantly go up automatically as a reactive defense of the ship because it's fancy like that. And you hear a soft, soothing voice coming through the system, and it's like, "Danger! We have incoming fire. All brace for imminent impact." As a sort of, you see on your scanners, the other ship that you left behind is now just firing. It's starting to pull out of the lighter bay and it's shooting in at you.
Can I roll engineering to see if there's any guns on the ship?
Yeah, well, you guys all come into the cockpit. You secure the magna boots, the artificial gravity is on, you also run up. And you see there's a bunch of stations set up in the ship. So there's a comm station, there's an engineering station, there's 2 gun bays, by the looks of it.
Alright, I'm gonna stand in the middle and make it seem like that I'm doing
Oh, and
some
there's
kind
like a fancy captain's chair.
Okay. I instantly jump to the captain's chair and forget about the gaping wound in my bag.
No, you're unconscious, dude.
Oh, am I unconscious? Okay.
I put him in the captain's chair
Yeah.
and strap him in.
It's what he would have wanted.
Alright, and then
He's also like bleeding out.
I'm then unconscious.
Oh.
We strap him
So
tightly
you took
in the captain's chair.
how
I
much?
still have 6 hit points left.
Oh, really? So even after taking 20
So
points
I
of damage,
I got 6 stamina and 10 hit points. So I've burned through all my stamina, gone into my hit points. That was 10 altogether.
it was 20 points of damage.
Oh yeah, I'm unconscious.
Yeah. I rolled 10 on a natural 20.
Oh,
10
my
on the
bad.
dice.
Okay, cool. I'm definitely unconscious.
Yeah.
Put me in the chair, please.
He needs medical help.
Does
pretty quickly.
anyone have... does anyone know medicine?
I have a bit of medicine, but I'm piloting the ship.
I can help pilot.
Okay.
I can do a pilot.
I'll
We
do the
put-
medicine myself.
Can you do medicine?
I
though?
do actually have points in medicine.
Alright then. Go for it.
Alright, cool. Well, you go to stabilize him.
Yeah.
Give me a roll. And meanwhile, Snowball, Joe, where are you
Yep.
guys going?
How desperate does this ship need an engineering? Because it sounds like we're more important to grab one of the guns.
Yeah, there's definitely some things that you can, sensors are offline, but what's that at this point,
At
to
this
be
point,
honest?
guns are going to be more important
Yeah.
to protect us, so I guess.
You should have jumped
we're
in.
both
It's
gonna
like,
go jump on
yeah,
guns.
you helped manufacture some of this stuff. They've actually put in some extra, the ship is of an Elorian make, but the weapon system, they come straight out of your factory.
Everything does. I love knowing everything about technology. It's great.
So you jump into the seat, and this other ship is coming out of lighter bay, and it's like, you start getting a lock on it. It looks like what you're in control of is like a quad barrel laser array on a turret that just pops out from the underside of the ship. And what you've got, Snowball, is torpedo tubes that are they fire out one direction, but you can track them, so you can find a target lock on them if you want.
Okay.
I got 13 on medicine.
Cool. Yeah, you stabilize him. No worries. Definitely not going to die, but he's not coming to consciousness anytime soon. You need some kind of healing juju.
I'll leave him strapped into the chair.
Yeah, belt buckle. Put some padding on, like strap it up. Just like, thankfully, there was laser blast, so it cauterized instantly.
Good.
And you just needed, apart from some cracks in the skin where some blood was coming out, so got him okay. So, Jet, you want to hit it again and try and escape the draw of this and the.
Yeah, let's roll another pilot.
Do a pilot.
Yeah, you're basically, the main thing is you're just trying to escape the debris field that's surrounding this ship and that whole clusterfuck. Otherwise, you're going to be caught between this ship and that planet.
I got 8 this time, so 16.
Alright, can you say stabilizing the ship? You're just like riding it, you're still getting closer to the ship. It's like you actually bump against it, scrapes down the side of this beautiful golden yacht.
Looks better.
And it reminds you of your armor when it was new.
Don't scratch it, please.
It's
Too pretty.
but meanwhile, this other ship is sort of like, you guys have the weapons. You want to make some rolls?
Oh, I'd like to shoot it a whole bunch.
Yes.
Yep, so you guys are just making basic attack rolls. So if you just roll a dice and add your dexterity modifier.
14.
Means 13 plus 1, right?
Yes.
Yes, 14.
Alright, cool. So you guys, like, you spin out, you just target lock on. These 2 torpedoes just like roll around. It's super close. It's like literally right there. So as it's coming out of the bay, the torpedoes go and like impact on the engines. It loses engines completely. Oh well, it impacts. Boom, boom. You see the shields that they throw up. The first torpedo hits and dissipates. The second one hits one of their engines, doing some damage. So the shields on your side is completely dissipated. You sort of line up their arms, like start firing in. It's just going through the shields, but it seems like they reallocate shield energy from one side in emergency to the other side. The second side of the shield goes down, so that side of the ship is completely exposed. And it comes to their turn, they're like, whoa! And they're going to try and evade off to the side, and they're just like, do a kind of spin, throw a bow roll, and come in taking cover behind a cluster of escape pods that conveniently jettisoned from the ship. And they're completely obscured at this point, unless you want to shoot through the escape pods at them. Regardless of which, we get back to the top of the round. You want to make another piloting roll to try and escape this? And...
I got another 10.
Okay, you swing around and like, just like little torpedoes, 2 more escape pods shoot out the ship. You sort of like swing across and like, boom, boom. The rear shields of the ship just go, as it just registers these escape pods as torpedoes, and you see them dissipate body parts and the contents being scattered across the surface of your beautiful yacht as they're trying to escape the ship. You lose a lot of shield energy on the backside.
Looks better.
Meanwhile, these guys realize they've taken a lot of damage and they're just like, fuck it. And they just cut and run and make a big push to try and get away from your vicinity and control their descent to the planet. You guys want to lay the boot in as they try and escape?
I'd like to flip them off out the window with like all 5 arms. You call me a worm, I can't. 5 arms.
Yeah,
and then I'm just gonna pat Jet comfortingly, and maybe I'll like pat Slide's head, try to make him feel better.
Alright, awesome. Let's get it around. Do you want to keep shooting at them, or...?
Can I jump over to the engineering panel and see if I can put my power to...
Yeah, so you can either reallocate the shields to different parts of the ship, or you see immediately look, sensors are down, thrusters have been damaged. You want to like just start getting some bits and pieces back.
I want to start getting some bits and pieces back online.
Cool. Give me an engineering roll to try and just get it back in order.
2, 8, 10.
Fucking Elorian ships, man! It just makes no sense! What the hell? They got their wiring all backwards! And you like get stalled a moment as you're trying to figure out how the operations of the ship even work. Like the weapon system, fine. This damn drive system? It's fucking whatever.
It's gonna take me a moment, guys. I get it.
Meanwhile, so Gronk, is there anything you particularly want to do in this situation?
Gronk doesn't know what to do.
Alright, cool.
Gronk
You're like basically sitting with your friend trying to make sure he's all right. You sort of like double check, and you don't have any kind of computer skill.
Nah.
No, you're just like looking around for some kind of medical facilities. You see there's like a first aid kit, but you've done as much as you can. You're just cleaning it a bit better. Jet.
Alright, guys. I'm gonna roll heaps better this time. Yes! I get 18 plus 8.
Okay, you finally figure out the controls. Another couple of pods are coming out, and you're like, I don't want to kill any more people by accident. So lean out, and pull out. Get into a position where your thrusters directly back against the ship and just punch it away, heading in a trajectory towards the planet. You're getting about halfway there, and then suddenly, it's really hard to tell what's going on because all the shit is everywhere, but suddenly out of nowhere, this other ship swings back in, strafes across the backside of your ship, where you've lost all those shields and you still haven't gotten a chance to fix it up properly at this point. Fires an array of hard projectile ammunition from 2 Gatling guns, just peppering the back of the ship. You see warning lights going off on something you're struggling to understand. And a trail of smoke starts issuing from the back of the ship. At the same time, a piece of debris collects this ship and it sort of like starts spinning off into the distance, now wildly out of control. But as are you. You descend to the planet, you hit the atmosphere, everything starts burning up. Joe, you start running around just patching up holes. You can't do any feasible repairs at this point. You're just running around trying to patch the holes in the thermal shielding on their ship so that it doesn't explode and send a fireball throughout the entirety of the cabin. Slide, you're having a pretty nice dream right now. This cloudy land of goodness and lollipops. People are serving. You just got the best hand and 5-card ante you've ever seen in your entire life.
Good. Life's good.
A couple of particularly attractive lizard people are sort of coming arm in arm around you and cheering you on in your attempts to sort of win the next hand. And then
What boots am I wearing? Are they really nice boots?
this
Look down at my
beautiful
boots.
red leather with a gold detailing. Some people might say gaudy, but you say it's just a sign of status. Look at endgame there, guys, as you hurtle towards the planet and uncertain fate.
As our heroes hurtle on to almost certain doom, our hearts skip a beat in dire anticipation of what the future holds. Stay tuned for the next exciting installment of Starfinder General, coming soon to Tabletop Dynasties. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell button to stay abreast of all future Tabletop Dynasties releases.